I'm Amy. I work for Stop the Traffic as the campaign coordinator. For the role I do, partnerships are really important, and I couldn't do the work I do without the partnerships that we've built together. Today, we are really lucky to be joined by Kristina, who is based in Lithuania, who runs KOPŽI, which is the Centre for Combating Trafficking and Exploitation. Kristina and Stop the Traffic, we worked together on the Lithuania campaign over the last year, and we couldn't have done it without Kristina or with her guidance and her knowledge and her insights. It was such a great partnership, and we were really grateful to work with Kristina on that. So welcome, Kristina, and thank you for joining us today. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself and the work you do?
Yeah, hello, thank you for your nice words. I am not so sure that I deserve them, but still I'm happy that we can communicate and we can share our experience. So for already 19 years here in Lithuania, we are trying to support human trafficking victims, and we work with all forms of human trafficking. It includes prostitution, sex trafficking, labor exploitation, forced criminality, fake marriages, and also new forms that are coming into Lithuania. I mean, drug dealing. Sometimes it's also regarded here as human trafficking. So we work with men, women, children, and we try to provide them social, psychological counseling, safe shelter. And what is most important, and this is kind of our signature, we support them during pre-trial investigation and during all court processes. And you know, well, I don't know how in your country, but here it takes long years. If we count from the very beginning till the end of all legal processes, it can take around 7, 8, 9 years. So it's a long way, and we do our best to be together with all victims during these processes.
Kristina, how long have you worked at KOPŽI?
Well, the Center Against Human Trafficking and Exploitation is only 3 years old, but before this we worked as Caritas Lithuania project, aid to the victims of human trafficking and prostitution. So it took around 16 years. So in total we're working 19 years in the field.
Gosh, and you've been doing this work for 19 years?
Yes, I started both how to say, organizations, and well, it's kind of my idea, together with colleagues, together with the team, to do this kind of work.
Yeah. I mean, you must have seen so many changes over that 19 years in terms of how trafficking has changed and evolved. Is there anything that you can think that you've noticed?
Yeah, I think a lot of changes, amazing changes, fantastic changes, if we can apply such words to, you know, this field of suffering. So if in the beginning we saw absolute negation of this kind of exploitation, the state even having articles in the penal code, it quite negated the whole phenomena and said that, well, maybe these women, they were not paid much in prostitution, that's why they imagined that they are human trafficking victims. So this was the initial attitude, and really this attitude, if we visited in services, state services, it was terrible. We ourselves also were affected by this attitude, and we were regarded as covering prostitution, covering these criminals, etc., etc. So today, if from 2001 we now jump to 2020, we have absolutely different situation. We have a lot of programs. The state is recognizing this kind of exploitation, and well, I think it's thanks to EU, that presses a lot of member states to make these changes. But I would say that the mentality, the attitude changed a lot. Today, we can find support for victims at any level, starting from local, going to regional, the national levels. And well, we have still a lot of problems here. It's the victim. Those victims who are cooperating with police, they are not defended properly. We think also victim identification process is still too weak. But in general, we can say that a big progress is made in the field.
Oh, that's amazing to hear that progress is being made. But how about types of exploitation? Have you seen that change, or and methods of recruitment? Because obviously in 19 years, that's quite a long time. And obviously, like now we've got social media, which I don't think we had 19 years ago. So have you seen the sort of face of trafficking changing, and methods, and the reasons why people might be lured into it? I was just wondering.
You know, I mean, when I started to work, I was very confident about everything. I thought that I know everything, and I was very sure. Today, I'm much less confident in my knowledge. Strange, yeah. It should be on the contrary, that now I know more. But still, I think, well, if we look what happened many years ago, we had two forms of human trafficking: sex trafficking and labor exploitation. But you know, today, if I reflect properly all the things that I was encountering, I'm not sure that other forms were not existing. Maybe we couldn't recognize them. Today, well, we have, as I told in the beginning, we have a large range of forms, forced criminality, and I think really that our state did a big homework, that they recognized some elements of forced criminality as human trafficking. It's really big victory for us. Also, we have fake marriages. I would say that criminals, they are more inventive, and they're looking for the gaps in the system, looking for the profits, the gaps that our social system, maybe political system, is creating this. But I think that this variety of forms is very much connected to the response, statal response to this to this crime. With all respect to the state and really huge law enforcement efforts, etc., huge international cooperation, I would say that the criminals train, it's quicker. It is quicker and more equipped, and still they are winning. Still too many victims involved into exploitation, and the response is still too weak, and too many victims are not identified and left without any support. And prevention in our country is very weak, and it's quite primitive. We still imagine that prevention is creating booklets and going to some lectures into to the schools, etc. But in reality, we ourselves are reading these booklets and listening to ourselves. You know, we're not reaching those people who should be reached. So the reasons why still it's possible for the criminals to do this, I think they're the same as 20 years ago. Economical reasons that are pushing weak people to take the proposals that are not clear, that can't be checked. Is it a real job offer or a fake job offer? Prostitution that flowers inside the country and creates the possibility for sex trafficking to have, you know, to go outside the country.
Just working with you over the past year, you could tell, and you've been in this field for 19 years, this is something you care very deeply about. And I mean, it's a strange way to explain it, that you enjoy your job, but you do enjoy your work and you're very passionate about it. Would you agree that this is something you care passionately about and is a bit more than just a job to you, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, Amy, I'm thinking a lot, I'm reflecting a lot how it came to me, what happened with me. I'm really an ordinary woman. I'm like all other, you know, women in my field, in my culture. But somehow this mission, well, I'm thinking about this word mission, really it overwhelmed me, and now I'm absolutely in this. And in the beginning I was quite rebellious, you know. I also wanted to be like all other human, you know, women of my age, of my well, surroundings. But I look at these 19 years, I lost a lot, but also I gained a lot. And well, sometimes I think if I had a chance to start again, would I choose the same path? And to my big satisfaction, I think that I would choose this path, notwithstanding all these losses that I had to endure. But this work is a fight. And that's why we have this word fight in our name, the name of the center. Fight, the center, it's in Lithuanian, it's the center, like fighting for victims. It's a bit different in Lithuanian language. So sometimes we're asked, why you, a team of social workers, you're using this word fight? And it's such a harsh word, and shouldn't you be more, how to say, mild and more adapting to the social work status? But we think that it's a fight, and for today it's an open fight here.
Yeah, we use the word fight as well. I think it's what's the word for fight in Lithuanian?
Kova.
Kova. So it's Kova, yes. Thank you. I mean, it's amazing to hear about your background and the sort of history of KOPŽI as well. But obviously, like, the world in the last few months, the world has changed, and everybody uses the word unprecedented all the time, but it is really changed. And we've spoken a little bit about this already, but how has that affected your work and your services, and what sort of changes have you seen in terms of like types of exploitation and things coming across your path at work?
Well, you know, in the beginning it was such a big happening for us. We were found so not prepared for this, I would say, because usually we are in the field. Our manner of work, we are field workers. Out of sudden, absolutely out of blue, we had to stop and to look for other ways how to reach victims, because neither victims or human trafficking, they haven't disappeared. Victims were at their places, closed, depressed, frightened, and we couldn't leave them in that situation. I don't know how in your country, but here all the legal processes also stopped. No pretrial investigations, court processes stopped, and also out of sudden, can you imagine, in the middle of pretrial investigation, out of sudden a stop? And it was, I think, everything it worked for the benefit of the criminals, because for them the stop was very much okay, to regroup, to find more energy, to reflect about the things. For them it was really okay, but for the victims, no. So that's why we had to invent some strategy, some manner how we can reach them. And also we were feeling the pressure of the state, of the municipalities, that all social work should be stopped. Please, no action, no movement. So can you imagine? So what we had to think about some legal way, not illegal, but legal ways how to go on with our work. And well, we tried to concentrate more on the vulnerable ones who were alone. We knew that they're alone without any income, with a quite bad psychological situation, psychiatric problems. So we tried to concentrate in the beginning invest more in these cases to support them. And well, we all material things that we had here, food, medication, clothes, we try to distribute more intensely, also to keep on speaking with them, speaking, encouraging, letting them understand that they're not alone. Because here, well, I think, well, it's the same in all countries, that vulnerable ones, they felt their situation even becoming worse and worse. So we had cases of attempting suicide, also psychological health deteriorating a lot. After some time, new groups of victims started to appear. And well, really, I myself never imagined that here in Lithuania, in such a small country near the Baltic Sea, we have groups of Vietnamese people, Indian, Thailand, people living here, working here, and being exploited. So this lockdown really pressed them to come here. Well, and they said that this is the only way, the only place where they can, which they can approach and speak about themselves. Most of them couldn't speak English absolutely, can you imagine? And they looked for the friends who could accompany them to us and try to explain their situation. And usually they have one leader in their group who is dealing with all the documents, etc., etc. But they're so vulnerable. They're staying here for 2-3 years and, well, 15 words in English. And how they can deal with services? How can they approach any NGO, or, well, they do not know anything about NGOs, but they can't approach police, anybody. And here is the point where the exploitative managers are using them and not giving proper salaries. So for many years existing near us such vulnerable groups, and they come here, they cry, they ask for help, but no interpreters here. So usually, well, we all depend on people who speak some words English. And interesting that most of them, they belong to a field that I myself really never thought that it's a vulnerable field. It's beauty industry, and it's and they started to speak about, you know, about prestigious spa places, massage places, and they worked in prestigious places, not some underground, you know, places where legal and where rich people are frequenting and having services. And the stories that we heard really shocked us, that they are almost no salaries, long working hours, the psychological terror there, and really new things started to reappear here. And we had also to look for the solution, as the services, statal services, worked almost on zero level. It meant that we had no labor inspection or police reacting to these cases. But, you know, well, during all these 19 years, we managed to create some network of colleagues also in labor inspection, in police, in prosecutor's office. So, well, we managed to attract the attention. And today, well, some pre-trial investigation on this field is going, and we tried what we could, I would say, but still it was depressing to see these people suffering so much and being so invisible at the same time.
Stop the Traffic worked with you, and we worked together on the campaign last year, the Lithuania communities, and I think it went really well. It was great, the amount of reach that we had through our social media campaign, and it was great to hear that people saw the campaign and, you know, knew that there was a place where they could contact for help and support should they need it. I just was wondering what, it'd be lovely to hear from the campaign from your perspective. You know, how did it go for you, and did you see any sort of changes, or did anything happen from your side? So I just think it'd be good for us to have a chat about the campaign.
Well, what I can say, Amy, about the campaign? Well, first of all, well, it was fantastic, I would say. It was fantastic in many senses. Well, in the beginning, I have to be sincere, and I think you accept my sincerity, that I was a bit skeptical about it. But then in the due course, and I got to know you a lot, and I really liked your attitude. For me, it was already the first alarm that the campaign will be okay, because these people, they understand the things. And for me, it's very, very important, because quite often we receive offers from the whole continent about many things. Let's do together, let's work together, but quite often these are empty things. And here, well, when I saw your attitudes, I understand that you are serious, working and understanding the things. And, you know, later on, when everything was implemented, and then one more thing, I liked very much your creativity, but you were very, very much into the details, and you wanted everything to work out quite well. So I like this very much, because we work in the same manner here. So, and then when the thing was implemented, you know, the result was absolutely astonishing. People started calling us, and this was the result of everything, because we can, you know, create and publish a lot of things, but it will remain for us only for our joy and satisfaction if people are not reacting to this. And we got this reaction. People started calling, and, you know, to make a long story short, really for me it was, as one man said on the phone, that finally I heard my story. But we said, that's not your story. I said, no, it's my story, and I heard it through their words. I heard my suffering, and all the time I blamed myself that I'm a loser, that I was not able to find a proper job, I was exploited. I was so much ashamed of myself. But watching this short video, I understood that it was not my fault that this thing happened to me, that I was a victim of exploitation, and I should not be ashamed of myself. So for me, it was, I would say, the conclusion of all your attempts, and it was really fantastic. Also, on another level, perhaps it was one of the really few times when I felt real international solidarity. You know, nowadays a lot of talking about international cooperation, blah blah blah, a lot of talking about this, everybody's speaking about this, but in reality international cooperation finishes the very moment you ask something concrete of your partners, and they say, well, sorry, I have no time, and well, well, I don't know what to answer you. And here was absolutely on the contrary. You were so active, proactive. You were interested in our situation, and for me it was really for the first time that international partners were really interested. We're not pretending that they know everything. And usually this is the attitude of our big brothers in partnership, that they have finances in their hands and they have knowledge, and you please, well, do what they ask us. So here was, on the contrary, we were not quite, but we really on equal grounds. And it was, for me, it was quite a shock, I would say, quite a shock. And as I said in the beginning, I was thinking, what is your interest? Why on equal grounds? And it was never on equal grounds. But later on, I relaxed. I started to trust you, and well, I and my team, we really very much pleased to understand your interest in us. And I would say for us, we started also to think maybe we should also look for some partners, for somebody in Russia, in Belarus, in Ukraine, and maybe we should do the same with others as you did with us. Well, maybe this is in future, but still small steps we're starting to take, and because we have a lot of Ukrainian victims here, so why not to look for some partners in Ukraine, and on equal grounds, sharing, if we have a big experience, why not to share it? So sorry to make this long story.
Oh, it was really amazing to hear, but thank you. That was really lovely. I didn't know about the story of the man that phoned the centre and said that he didn't feel so bad. That's amazing to hear. What do you look for in a partnership? What is important to you if you're partnering with other organizations?
Amy, when I started to work, it was really big thing if we could meet with other NGOs, with other partners, to sit down and together and speak about things and drink coffee and etc. Today, it's not enough. Today, I am not looking for some friendship. It's when you start working, when you're new, when maybe it's important, to feel another shoulder and to understand that you're not alone. Today, well, I don't know, well, I'm not so fatalistic, but I don't think that we have much time here, and today we should be more victim-centered. And this is the biggest problem here, that if you really fight for the rights of the victims, you are alone. You are alone in the field, and it's okay when you do seminars, conferences, then no problem, a lot of partners together with you. But the very moment you touch really the sensitive issues, who is standing behind the traffickers, why the profits of the traffickers are not touched, why the pre-trial investigation is cancelled, out of sudden you're alone in the field. So I'm speaking about this level. But if not to look so deep, then it's okay. Usually, well, I think we can't survive without partners, and it's like oxygen, and it's very much okay to discuss, to look what they do, what we do, why we are doing differently. So it's okay, absolutely. But this is a bit of the surface, If you go deeper, and then you are alone.
Well, we don't want you to be alone, and we would absolutely love to work with you again. And I think it's going to be, hopefully, we say fingers crossed, hopefully we will work together again. And because trafficking doesn't stop for coronavirus or anything else,
Yeah.
but we can at least put that prevention side in place and make sure people know who that might be at risk of exploitation and that are experiencing it, that they know where they can go and get support. Well, thank you so much, Kristina.
Thank you.
It's a real pleasure talking to you, and yeah, I hope we work together again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to us today. The work of KOPŽI is so important in the care that they give to survivors of human trafficking. To find out more about the work of KOPŽI, you can see the link to their website in the text below. And to find out more about the Lithuania campaign that we ran together, there's also a link in the text below. Thanks for listening.